So in the past year, I've collected and worn probably enough goalie gear to dress 2 lines of goalies and plus backups. So I thought it'd be fun in this video to talk about the equipment that I used this year and also talk about my favorite goalie gear in terms of like gloves, pads, and blocker for the year of 2025. So some of the fun categories we're going to be talking about today, it's going to be things like what I think is the best glove, the best pads for old man narrow butterflies, and also things like, the best budget set. So feel free to scrub through the timestamps below to go to the section that you're most interested in. Even though we have categories called best of, really the best equipment is going to be stuff that fits you the best, and that's going to be different for everybody. This is more of like what I feel is my favorite out of all the things that I've used, and this is only equipment that I've actually used and worn on the ice. So let's go to the equipment pile over there and get started. So I've been using a 580 glove for the past 2 years, so that's something that I'm really familiar and comfortable with. So all the gloves that I've tested have all been 580 breaks, as opposed to this 590 Bauer, so this is kind of like the exception. I did used to use a Warrior G4 600 break for a couple of years before I made the switch to a 580. So my choice for the best glove in this video is going to be based off of that 580 break. So the glove that I'm going to actually pick for my favorite glove of a 580 break, it's going to have to be the CCM eFlex 7 glove. So what I have here is actually a 7.9. I did use the eFlex 7, so the Pro version, in the summer, and the feel of that was incredible. So I've moved on from that set, but the glove, for some reason, kind of just stuck in my head, how comfortable it actually is and how well it closes. It's just a really, really unique feel. I think it's that weird like hexapalm thing they have in there, and the way they do like the cross grip strapping in the glove. It's like, again, I bought this again after selling my other set. Not only that, you'll see that I actually have a white version as well too. This is how much I actually love this glove. It's really comfortable. I've had other goalies try it out who don't use 580s, and when they put it on, they're like, holy cow, they want to switch to a 580 simply for this glove. And if you haven't tried it, I definitely would recommend going to the shop and giving it a try, especially if you haven't tried a 580. It feels very, very comfortable on the inside, which does not really feel like any other glove that I've tried. That's what really makes it stand out. And if you're wondering, the 7.9 version feels almost identical to the Pro eFlex 7 version. So that's my pick for the best glove, is the CCM eFlex 7 line. I'm also going to give an honorable mention to, of course, the true 580 glove. So this is a PX5 Catalyst 580. You can only get these custom, I believe. I think there's a couple ones you can get off the shelf, but this is the highest price point model for a glove. This is also like a really, really good 580 feel glove. This is a very similar to an old Reebok glove if you ever use one of those. And when I put this glove on, it's not as comfortable as the CCM eFlex 7, but when I put my hand in there, I feel like I'm ready to get to work. I don't know what it is. It just like, it feels like I mean business. Like it feels like pros use this type of hand position. So this is going to be kind of like second place when it comes to my favorite glove. So when it comes to blockers, most people feel that a blocker is a blocker. I'm not too picky about blockers, as long as like the glove fits really well. I have had blockers where it's a little bit too loose on my fingers, so the glove is a bit too large. That's not always fun. But what I look for in a blocker is kind of like a lot of wrist mobility, being able to angle your wrist down, have some adjustment points in there, and also some good weight to it. And I think y'all kind of know which one I'm going to pick for my favorite blocker. I've talked about this on my channel quite often. That's going to be basically any Bauer blocker, pretty much. There's a reason why a lot of goalie coaches talk about the Bauer blockers. Really good pop, really lightweight blocker, feels really good on your hand as well too, so very, very comfortable. So this is a Bauer GSX, so this is a 2023 model. Feels almost the same as like the new stuff out now. The Flylight and the SV Pro models have a lot more tighter palms in them, so which I actually like. So I do actually have an SV Pro kind of like hiding behind over there. That has a really tight blocker palm hand, which I actually enjoy a little bit more than these kind of like bigger palms over here. But other than that, really thin blocker board, Pretty sweet poppy rebounds, really good mobility on the wrist. I think the Hyperlite 2 blocker, however, had like a really big wrist cuff, which I didn't like on that one. So that year of blockers, I actually went with a shadow blocker, and that was a lot more open, but this one feels actually pretty open as well. So that's what I really like about the Bauer blockers. Again, really good palm, really good rebounds, and also good wrist mobility. So when it comes to leg pads, I feel like the leg channel is so important. Like, if it doesn't feel good on your leg, you're not going to play well. You're going to be kind of fiddling around with straps a lot. That's a problem that I've had using a lot of gear, and that's something that I've been kind of chasing, is trying to find like that perfect leg channel. Just to let you know, it doesn't exist. Like, you can only get so close, of course, unless you get like full custom stuff to your leg. And it's really important to have a good leg channel, because it's going to really affect how the pad like sits and twists on your leg when you go in a butterfly. If things are a bit too loose and too sloppy, your pad's going to over rotate. If it's a little bit too tight, you're going to kind of cut some circulation on your leg. You also want some good adjustment points as well too, to accommodate for like bigger and thinner legs, and of course your knee guards too. So I felt that using all these pads here, I think that the True stuff has probably the best leg channel in my opinion. So the reason why I really like it is, so let's open this guy up and I'll kind of show you why I really like the True leg channel. And I've used the True L95s as well too. This is an L87 Catalyst, and then there's a PX5 right behind me. So all very similar leg channels. So the way the FRS system basically works is you have these two elastic Velcros over here, and there's like an attachment point kind of like on the end of them. So the cool thing about this is you kind of attach it down here, and then you can basically just adjust how tight or loose you want it up over here. So once you get this dialed in, you kind of just leave this as is, and then you just strap these on and off like that. And having two of these with a little calf support in here gives you that really good connection to the pad while still being a very stiff pad. So what I've noticed is a lot of stiffer pads have pretty loose strapping and loose leg channels. This feels like a really good combination of like snug but not too snug. That kind of makes sense, and also gives you that flexibility to go really loose or really tight if you want to with this system. And I don't know what it is about these pads, or maybe this leg channel in general, and maybe it's called like the fast rotation thing, but when I drop into a butterfly on my True pads, it actually feels like I'm dropping fast for some reason. Like the pads are rotating really, really quickly, and maybe it has something to do with the fancy strapping system. But yeah, so this is the FRS system here, and then you have the little whole thing that kind of connects it up together on the outside. So I have heard that sometimes this is not long enough for some people who have bigger legs. Unfortunately, this is completely stitched in. That's like not really a good point of the design here, but I haven't had any problems because I have basically baby chicken legs. So that's basically the leg channel on the Trues. And this is actually a reason why I love wearing these pads. It's because of the leg channel. I'm also going to give an honorable mention to that guy sitting on the far end over there. That's going to be the Warrior pads. When it comes to the leg channel on the Warriors there's so much adjustability like on the inside of this leg channel. Obviously Warrior is like one of those companies that always innovates how you put leg pads on. I'm not really gonna like go through all the pieces here, but definitely look up, Warrior's official videos on the customization you can do within the leg channel. I have actually worn an RG4, and that leg channel was phenomenal. It was like so comfortable. It was very, very comfortable. Plus there's so much stuff you can do with it too. So if you're someone who likes to like tinker with a lot of like straps and dials, this leg channel is going to be for you. So this is a very stiff pad with a very supportive and snug leg channel to keep your leg connected to the pad. So being a goalie obviously is very expensive. Like the equipment costs like thousands of dollars at a time. So when it comes to actually like finding a really good budget set, A lot of people you'll see on the forums and online will kind of like rag on like the lower price lines and things like that. But if you're playing in low level beer league, like you just want to get started, I feel that the best low level price line, and this is going to be an obvious choice again, we're going to go with the Bauer GSX model over here. So this is the Gen 2 GSX from 2023. So this is the same line as the Hyperlite 2, which is the highest line, and then the X5 Pro, and then this is the entry level of those generation of pads. Now, coming from someone who's only used like high level pro gear before, I was a little bit skeptical about this pad. It's very, very flexible and very torsionally flexible. However, it performs like, it outperforms, I think, some of the pro Bauer stuff. It's unbelievable. Like, I was actually completely blown away with this set. The slide on the pad is probably better than the pro Hyperlite stuff that I've used. It's very, very comfortable, very, very lightweight. The only thing that I'm slightly concerned about is like the straps feel really flimsy, like the Velcro feels pretty cheap. But again, if you're playing a couple times a week, I don't really think that's going to be a problem. You can get an entire set of this second gen GSX right now, I believe, from some sales that I saw. You can get the whole set for a little bit over 800 Canadian, which is absolutely insane for the entire set. So this is the GSX glove. Really sick pocket. This is a 590-ish break. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit sketched out about using really, you know, this is like a $200 block. Sorry, this is a $200 glove. I'm a little bit sketched out about using like a budget glove, especially if you're taking shots to the palm. However, what they've actually done is they've reinforced the palm on this low level glove. And I actually took a really good slap shot right to the palm on the weekend here, and I didn't feel a thing. So Bauer's does some really good stuff to protect you on their lower level lines. And this is a really good, snappy 590 glove. The internals definitely don't feel as good, obviously, as the higher lines, but you kind of get what you pay for when it comes to this set here. So as of this video, this is actually the set that I'm wearing currently for games, and I'm going to try to kind of like beat it up and see how long it lasts, and I'll let you guys know, of course, how this set actually does over the course of a handful of games. So when it comes to buying lower price point models, there's always like differences in like materials and like features and things like that. But a lot of brands now, I feel like, are actually starting to bring their pro features down to the mid spec price point, which is phenomenal. Like, it's actually good. It's actually really nice that they're starting to do that. And I feel like Bauer, with that GSX line, is actually starting to push other companies to bring their pro price point stuff down to the mid level stuff for beer leaguers like you and I. So my pick for the best set that has like the most pro level features and feels like the pro level stuff, I'm going to turn to the good old CCM eFlex 7.9s. So not the 7.5s, which is the entry level stuff. I'm going to pick the 7.9s because this has the cross glide technology stuff that the higher price point has. The 7.5 does not have this. So if you are looking for the mid-level price point of the 7.9 CCM, this has pretty much all the pro spec stuff, and the build of it feels phenomenal. Like, I've worn the pro level eFlex 7 version of this set. I can't even tell a difference, to be honest. Like, I think some of the materials like aren't as comfortable, maybe like in the glove and some parts of the leg channel, but other than that, I can barely tell a difference between this mid-price point versus the pro higher price point model. So awesome. You get this thing, CGT slide surface. You also get, of course, the 580 stock brake, which again is one of my favorite gloves here. The blocker is actually pretty decent as well too. Really lightweight. Again, just as comfortable as the glove. And what I like about this blocker is you're able to, if I can show you guys here, you're able to really take the cuff and kind of like position it where you want to open it up or close it up, depending on how you want to play. And this allows you to get a lot of really good wrist mobility by adjusting that cuff there. So a lot of good flexibility in this. Haven't had any problems with the blocker. Had some really good rebounds off of this guy. So that is my pick for, I would say, yeah, the best like mid-level price point stuff that has like pro features in it. And I find that the CCM line is maybe like about $100 cheaper than all the other big brands out there. So it's actually like on the lower price point of mid-price stuff, if that makes any sense. So I don't know about you guys, but when I grew up playing hockey, like street hockey, I loved like fluffy, like squishy pads made of like horsehair and stuff like that. I still love that feel on my leg when I play ice hockey. But a lot of pads nowadays are getting a lot more stiff and a lot more rigid to kind of like maintain the structure and shoot out rebounds and things like that. So this category is basically, you know, which pad feels like an old school pad. And this is going to be an easy one. This is going to be, of course, the eFlex 7 line. So there's a reason why it's called eFlex, because this is by far like, I think it's actually the most like unique pad that I've tried on out of all the gear that I've played with. It still kind of maintains that like old school, like squishy feel to it. Good old, there's no horsehair in here, unfortunately, right? But you know, it's like big and chunky. Still has like a recessed boot, and the padding in here is like extremely soft, and it's still really flexible pad. So if I was squishing this on the ground, it'd be a bit easier, but it's still a very flexible pad too. Whereas a lot of the other lines are going towards, you know, again, more straight and stiff. And I think most of you growing up playing probably had one brand in mind that was like the best for squishy, soft, old school style pads, and you would think that it'd probably be this guy over here, the Vons over here. So this is a VX10 Pro Carbon. I always associated Vaughn with soft pads. Fortunately, they've kind of gone the other way, where it's gone extremely stiff as well too. So even the grandmasters of soft, squishy pads, Vaughn, has gone the way of super stiff. So I think the winner for like the most old school feeling pad is going to be the eFlex 7 line for sure. All right, so now we're going to get into some good old man pad stuff here. So what is, I think, in my opinion, the best pads for a narrow butterfly? So as you get older, your hips get worse, and then you have a narrow butterfly. Your internal rotation on your hips is not too good. So we want to try to get pads that are going to kind of have a pre-curve to them to help you with that 5-hole coverage. So this one's going to be a bit of a tough one to kind of pick out, because it's really going to depend on the person behind the gear. So I'm not really going to pick like one setup, but I'm going to make a couple of recommendations. And the ones that I'm going to pick is going to be the CCM, again, the CCM eFlex 7 line. So the reason why I picked that, you'll see there's a very nice pre-curve to that. So that's going to help you seal up that 5-hole there a little bit. And it's also a very soft pad as well. So CCM eFlex 7 for sure. I get a very, very nice seal. I'm using the eFlex 7s, and I think that's going to be kind of like, I would say actually like runner-up in my opinion. What gives me the best butterfly seal is going to be the Bowers. So any type of Vaporline pad is going to give you really good seal on the 5-hole, again, because you have that nice pre-curve to it. It is not as curved as the eFlex 7, but for me personally, these pads have always like sealed the best when I go down into a butterfly, and they're also pretty soft up top, so you can kind of like squish it down a little bit more. One thing to note about Bower pads is when you size them, it's going to be like small, medium, large, and stuff like that. It's going to be like 31, sorry, it's going to be like the size, so the 32, and they say 32 plus 1. Bowers are actually measure more like a +1.5. And I think that's why these actually close a little bit better, because even though it's a +1, it actually gives you that extra ½ inch at the top to close up your butterfly. Compared to if you were to get the CCM eFlex 7 stuff where it's a +1, you'll see that the thigh rise is actually literally a +1. It's like, you know, it's a little bit short from the knee block up, right? So yeah, so that's why I would probably go with the Bauer Vapor line. What's not shown here is the Brian's Iconic that I had. So Brian's now allows, I believe, in the mid-price point stuff, to give you that a really aggressive Z shape to the pad, to the profile of the pad, and that's going to allow you to really shut down that butterfly. I'll put a picture up here of it. So this is a very aggressive profile that you can get with your Brian's pads to help you seal that butterfly up. And the thing with that pad, it's not a soft pad, it's a very, very stiff pad. So you kind of have to decide if you like a stiff pad with that type of profile to shut down, or you want a softer pad with a pre-curve like these guys here. And as a little bonus, on the flip side, I'm going to talk about what are the pads that are worse for narrow butterflies, because I find that a lot of people who have bad hips and that can't close their butterfly kind of just buy any type of pad because it's on sale and stuff like that, and they don't really think about 5-hole closure, and they don't really buy the right pad for their anatomy, unfortunately. So I'm actually going to pick out a couple pads here that I think are actually not good for butterfly seal. You'll see that I'm looking on the corner there. It's actually going to be any of the True stuff. So I know a lot of you love to get your hands on some Trues, but these are not the best for butterfly seal, and you'll see it's super straight. It's like a block of plywood there, and these are extremely stiff, so you can't, holy cow, like you can't really like form that curve in there if you want it. Yeah, so yeah, you see how straight that is compared to what I just showed you with the CCMs and the Bowers. I would say that this does kind of have more of an angle to it, like a slight angle to it, which isn't too bad. And the other mention I'm going to have for worse butterfly closure, it's actually going to be the Warriors here. So these are even straighter, so you'll see how straight that is. There's no like kind of angle to that to help you seal up your butterfly closure. So yeah, these are like almost like blocks of plywood, so they kind of go straight up. But yeah, so you always want to keep an eye on that kind of stuff when you're looking for these type of pads, like if that's important to you, right? If you want your pads to be curved and help with your butterfly, you want to go with more of a pre-curve. If you don't really care, then you can go with something a little bit like this. When it comes to my butterfly flare, like I don't have the widest butterfly flare. I've been obsessed with like trying to buy pads to cover that up, but at the end of the day, like if you can stop the pucks, like I don't really care about that anymore. Like if you think about it, this is not a pad that I should be wearing if I talk about butterfly closure, but I move really well in these things and they rotate down really nicely, so I kind of just like don't care about that anymore. Plus, if you squeeze your knees together, you should be able to save the puck with your block or your stick. So again, it just really depends on what's important to you. So we're going to wrap up with the category that I've been completely obsessed with the last few months, which is like the best sliding pad out there on the market. So I do not have Diamond Glide on the True pads here. This is just traditional weave. So I have not tried Diamond Glide at all. But from what I've heard, it's kind of like on par with like everything else that's out there. So when it comes to slide on a pad, this is something that I do care about, because I think that if you have a good sliding pad, it's going to make your pushes a lot easier. Obviously, you can conserve a lot more energy that way. But if you have too much slide, you're going to be whizzing up to the corner. You're going to be completely out of position. You're not going to be able to recover as easily from your butterfly because you have less friction to kind of like push off of to get back up. But anyways, let's talk about some sliding stuff here, and I'll kind of give you guys a bit of my opinion on that. So obviously, Warrior has had their slide plates for quite a while now. This is by far like the most slippery option you can get out there. So slippery that people don't really ever use this slide plate anymore. So it's good that it's removable. I think that if you want to kind of go overdrive with your slides, put this guy on, try it a bit, take it off if it's too much. I did use this in a warm-up, and I was just too scared to use it in the scrimmage because I was like gonna blow my groin out if I kept those on. So I just used it for like 5 minutes, and I was like, no way, this is too crazy for me. So that's it's a bit overkill for me. So that is one good option that you can have if you want to get some slide, is the Warrior slide plates. And you can actually put these on like other pads, I think. So I've seen some people kind of jimmy it onto other brands of pads too. The other pad that has a unique slide surface is obviously going to be the new CCM eFlex 7 line. This is the CGT slide surface here. This is pretty good. This is actually really good. It is really slippery compared to like standard Gen Pro, and even a lot better than Weave as well too. The thing that I like about it is like it slides consistent through all ice conditions. So I was like playing like in a 90-minute skate, and like almost in the 90th minute, I was still sliding the same amount that I was in the first minute. So really, really good stuff. This is like legit. This is not a gimmick. It's actually quite slidey. But when I think when it comes to like the best overall slide for when it comes to this new slide technology stuff, and again, I haven't used Diamond Glide, so I can't really talk about that. It's going to be the Vaughn / Brian's Primo material here. So this is, you know, look at that. It's kind of like this shiny weave looking stuff here. Quick slide on the Vaughn's, Opti slide on the Brian's, essentially the same material. Cool thing about this stuff is they did bring this down to their second price point models. So Vaughn and Brian, you can actually get this stuff stock off the wall on their pads. So really cool stuff. Again, very, very slippery. I would say this is more slippery than the CCM stuff there. This is way too overkill for me. I cannot control my slides using this thing, but very, very good slide capability here. So while we're talking about sliding surfaces, I'm really just going to quickly touch upon like the non-specialty slide surfaces as well. So on the PX5 that I have here, this is just traditional weave material. So tried, true, and tested weave. It slides, but doesn't slide too crazy. It's like a decent amount that if I push really hard, I'm not going to like fly off into the corner and get out of position. This is like a good place for me. One thing to note about the weave materials that I've been checking out other pads is there is kind of different types of weave, I think. And what I mean by that, this is a very smooth weave here, but for some reason on these PX3s, the weave on this is actually really tacky. Kind of hear that? So it's not smooth. So these actually slide considerably worse than my PX5s here. And I can tell you for a fact that the lower price points of the True gear, like the L87 and L95 stuff that's out there on the mid price points, they all have weave now on their sliding surfaces, which is good, which is awesome. However, I have found that some of them have the tacky one, some of them have the smooth one on there. So if you are shopping for a set of True, like in the True mid price point pad and they have weave on them, check out the weave and make sure that it's nice and smooth. I don't really know if it's a quality control thing there, but you definitely want the one that's like a bit smoother, because this is hard to slide with. And the last thing I'll talk about is the good old Bowers. So these things slide phenomenal. Like they slide like, this is my perfect slide surface here. Again, this is like a $400 or $500 pad that slides probably better than these expensive pads over here. This is like probably my favorite slide is the Bauer on here. And I'm gonna say that with a bit of a asterisk, I guess. I've used like so many Bauer pads before. I find that their sliding is like, it's inconsistent from pad to pad. I don't know what it is about the way they put the skin on there, but I've tried like Hyperlight 2s, Hyperlight 1s, SV Pros, Flylights. They all slide different, even though they're supposed to be like the same type of stuff. But I can tell you for a fact, these slide better than the Flylights I had, for sure. So keep that in mind when you're looking at Bauer sliding stuff. So there you have it. Those are my picks for the year of 2025 when it comes to goalie gear. Hope this helps you out if you're looking to purchase some gear. Feel free to leave some comments below if you have any questions about the gear that I've used up here, or stuff that I've worn in my games, in my previous videos. I'm always happy to talk about gear because this is basically my obsession for the past year, pretty much. So always fun to try out new stuff. I do have another set coming in, but don't tell anyone about that one. Anyway, catch you guys later.